You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic esthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. This podcast is brought to you by Stratum Aesthetics. Head to stratumaesthetics.com to find curated skincare, body care, and other wellness products hand-selected by me. Now enjoy the show. Please remember that the information I share in this podcast is based on my professional and personal experience. It is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not individualized skincare advice, nor is it medical advice. I encourage you to take charge of your own health decisions and listen to your body, seeking out the resources and professionals that best support your wellness journey. Welcome back in. Emily here, and today I want to dive into a topic that just feels so nourishing and timeless and maybe even a little bit magical, and that's castor oil. The castor plant is often called Palm of Christ, and this nickname is due to its reputation as just a gentle, nourishing remedy that has the ability to quote unquote heal by touch. It's just this beautiful, steadfast source of comfort because it's able to almost immediately soothe sore muscles, any type of injury, reduce inflammation. And I'll get into all of the benefits of it today, but it just has this almost mystical place among plant remedies. And it's a really special plant, and I'm pumped to talk about it today. When I first started using castor oil packs, I was not aware of any of this. And a castor oil pack is one way to incorporate castor oil, one preparation of castor oil, you could say, where you basically soak an organic cloth in the castor oil and then place it on your body. And so this was my first experience working with castor oil, and I was so amazed at how it just felt like a hug, like so comforting. And it's something that I always go to when I'm feeling ungrounded or anxious. And the use of castor oil is one of those remedies that's traveled through generations, across cultures, through the wisdom of herbalists and healers for both topical and internal use. Today, I'm going to focus on the topical use. I have personally used it internally. This was a more recent experience. Internally, it's used as a laxative. I don't know of any other uses for it internally, like a digestive aid. But it is pretty intense, I gotta tell you, and I would not recommend to do this blindly. I would say work with a practitioner. It's used quite a bit in Ayurveda. And so this was how I was using it. I was doing an Ayurvedic fall cleanse this year. And at the end of the cleanse, you drink 2 tablespoons of castor oil. And it is recognized even by the FDA as a laxative. It is utilized even by some modern Western conventional medical practitioners for the use as a laxative here and there. But again, don't go into this by yourself. Definitely work with someone who's educated about it because there are side effects that can happen, like dehydration, definitely maybe some stomach upset. It's, like I said, very intense. But today I really want to focus on the topical use because there are just so many benefits, both for cosmetic purposes, but also for overall wellness. I also want to talk about how to use it. And I do want to share that I do carry a castor oil that I personally use and recommend on my online apothecary. So you can find that at stratumaesthetics.com. I will also link the castor oil and then also the cloth that is used for the castor oil pack in my show notes so that you can go on and find it. So castor oil has a long history of use cosmetically, medicinally, and for industrial purposes. There's evidence of castor oil being used for all of these to fuel lamps, to use as a moisturizer as far back as 4,000 years ago. In ancient Egypt, castor oil was so highly valued, it was even mentioned in the Ebers Papyrus, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, send me an email and tell me. But this is one of the oldest known medical texts. It highlights castor oil as a remedy, and it highlights it for soothing and healing. It was really a staple in wellness and beauty rituals. Other cultures who have both an ancient and a modern relationship with this oil include Greece, India, Persia, Africa, China, Western Europe, and more. And one thing that I do want to mention, because I think it's so cool, is that castor plants are capable of thriving on not very fertile soil and places where it's not ideal for food production, which is going to minimize competition for prime agricultural areas. And this makes castor farming just such a sustainable choice because it doesn't greatly interfere with food supplies or contribute to deforestation. Castor oil is having a very popular moment right now on TikTok. If you are on the skincare side of TikTok, it's more than likely that you have seen a video talking about castor oil as a moisturizer. But even before TikTok, I feel like the company, the Queen of the Thrones, made it really popular because she created a mess-free way to do castor oil packs. So I first learned about them when I was in herbalism school, and we did this really fun day where we did body treatments. We started with dry brushing with Garshina gloves, which are a raw silk glove that I also carry on my website. I'll link that as well. But it's just a more gentle form of dry brushing. And so we started with the dry brushing with the Garshina gloves, and then we made a customized aromatherapy blend for our partner. And then we would put the castor oil soaked flannel on there. We would put towels on top of that and then wrap that whole thing with saran wrap. This is the modern traditional way of doing it. Obviously, they were not wrapping each other in saran wrap in Egypt 4,000 years ago. But this is kind of the way that herbalists do it in modern Western herbalism. And so this is how we learned it, and you can do it like that. The only problem is that castor oil is very messy. It's almost like between an oil and a syrup. It's very thick, it's very viscous, and it's kind of sticky. And so it's very easy to get on your clothes if you're doing it this way. But the other problem with the plastic being involved is that castor oil has a very small molecular makeup. And so it can penetrate deeper into our tissue. And it's also a very drawing oil. And so it can draw other substances into the tissue as well, which is why we were doing the aromatherapy with it, which I actually don't do, and that's a whole other story. But pulling that plastic into your tissue is obviously not ideal. And so what Queen of the Thrones did is they made this piece of cloth. It's organic. And they have a lining on the outside that's non-toxic, and then they have ties. And so you just tie this pack to your body, and that way you're not messing around with all of the other stuff. And it's a pretty clean and mess-free way to do it. So I got that as soon as I found out about it. And that's how I started my personal castor oil journey, was by doing the packs, and I use it pretty consistently now, several times a week in one way or another. Okay, so I want to talk about what to look for when you are purchasing a castor oil, because not all products are created equally. So first thing, you want to look for a castor oil that is organic. Because it's so drying, you want to make sure that you're not using a plant that has been sprayed with pesticides. Additionally, look for a wrap that is organic material as well. I really love the wraps that tie around your body and that have a non-toxic liner to them, just because we want to avoid applying plastic right on top of the castor oil. You want a product that is stored in a dark glass bottle to prevent oxidation from the light entering. And honestly, anytime I'm using any oil on my body, I generally want it to have a dark glass bottle because oil can oxidize. You definitely want an unrefined and cold pressed oil, as the heating process from extracting the oil can destroy some of the beneficial components. And then you also want to ensure that your product is hexane free. Hexane can leave behind a trace solvent residue and reduce the purity of the oil. Press extraction, on the other hand, uses a mechanical pressure to extract the oil, preserving its natural nutrients and making it just a safer, better option for overall wellness. Because prolonged exposure to hexane has been linked to health risks like neurological damage, respiratory issues, skin irritation. And while most hexane residue is removed during the processing, the possibility of even a small trace amount remaining definitely raises concerns for me. Castor oil can be very drying. This is one reason I'm very careful not to take my castor oil pack off in the morning after I've slept with it and then put like leggings on, because leggings have plastic in them. I just want to be very mindful with the clothing that I'm putting on when I do have castor oil on my body. So with the castor oil pack that I carry, you have this piece of cloth. It has a non-toxic lining on it, and you put the cloth on like your bathroom counter, and then you take the oil, and I just eyeball it. I put about 2 tablespoons of castor oil onto this cloth, and then I fold it in half. I rub it around on top of itself to just like spread that oil around, and then place the oil side of the cloth onto your body. You can apply it over your liver, you can apply it over your abdomen, over your low back if you have low back pain, wherever you like, and then you tie the straps around your trunk. I am always careful not to tie them too tightly, just tight enough so that it stays in place, but I don't want it to be leaving indentations in my skin, because that was a sign it was impeding lymphatic flow. So you put it on and then you sleep with it, and your body heat is going to do the work of that heating pad that I mentioned earlier. It's so comfy. It's so calming and cozy. I am careful to, like, if I had really nice sheets on my bed that I was worried about getting stained, I would probably sleep on top of a towel. I've never had a problem with it, but you just never know what's going to happen if you put maybe more oil, if it's going to like squeeze out the top. Just to be careful if you had sheets that you were really worried about getting stained, or pajamas that you were really worried about getting stained. I do wash the pack every couple of uses with unscented Castile soap. I like the Dr. Bronner's brand. In Ayurveda, it's recommended to avoid castor oil packs during your period because of their ability to stimulate circulation and promote detoxification. It can just be a little over-activating during this time because menstruation is considered a natural detox process on its own, and additional stimulation to the pelvic area and that increased circulation that's promoted by the pack can just disrupt your body's natural rhythms. And so I personally have just always followed this advice. I'm not a big believer in overdoing it with your body when you're on your period. However, many people also really like this for soothing menstrual cramps. So just keep in mind that there is that philosophy around it. Other ways to use it before I get into the specific benefits include as a breast oil to increase circulation and lymphatic drainage. Again, don't apply this to your skin and then put a bra that's made out of polyester on top. You definitely want to be really mindful of the clothes that you're applying to your skin when you have castor oil on your skin. I also love it for around the eyes. I just dab it on the orbital bone. It's really sticky, so this is not something you're going to do if you're going to wear makeup right after. It takes several hours, I would say, to totally absorb. This is something that you want to wear your hair up because your hair will get stuck to it. It'll get in your hair. And again, it's super greasy. Be careful when applying it before bed. If you're going to apply it to your eyes or if you're going to wear it as like a face mask or even a hair mask, it will most likely stain your pillow and possibly your pajamas. People are using it as a moisturizer. I personally think it's better in a formulation with other oils rather than a single oil alone. It's extremely thick, it's highly occlusive, and so it's leaving a very thick layer on top of your skin. And so I think this can be really helpful for dry, cracked, impaired skin. It's definitely not my first recommendation for someone who is prone to clogged pores or who maybe has like really hot, irritated acne. I probably would steer away from castor oil in those situations. However, some people love it. I do think it's a great oil cleanser. Again, I like it in formulation with other oils, but some people really love it on its own as a single oil cleanser. It's really rich in a fatty acid called ricinoleic acid. Ricinoleic acid is what makes castor oil so potent because it has a unique property not found in other fatty acids. Because it is such a small molecular makeup, this fatty acid can, again, pass through the upper layers of your skin and reach into the deeper layers of your tissue. And I want to talk about what is so interesting specifically about ricinoleic acid, and then I want to just talk about the overall benefits of castor oil in general. So ricinoleic acid, it increases circulation. So it's going to promote blood flow to the area that it's applied to. The ricinoleic acid also has anti-inflammatory effects, and this can help with reducing redness, swelling, pain, and this is what makes castor oil so helpful for soothing conditions like joint pain, sore muscles, or even irritated skin. It's deeply moisturizing, like I said before. It helps to soften skin, improve elasticity, and I really love this for like dry, cracked skin, dry heels, chapped lips, and also for maintaining smooth, hydrated hair. Okay, so let's get into why castor oil in general is so cool. And I've got a handful of benefits to share with you as we close out the show. Okay, so on to the benefits. The first one is that it enhances lymphatic flow. So our lymphatic system is responsible for transporting waste and toxins and immune cells through our body, and castor oil stimulates the lymphatic circulation because that ricinoleic acid is promoting circulation and then also has an anti-inflammatory effect on the tissue, which helps lymph flow a little bit easier. It modulates the immune system. So research indicates that the application of castor oil packs can elevate T cell lymphocytes, which enhances immune surveillance and the breakdown of harmful substances in the body. And when I say modulation versus stimulation, castor oil is actually an immune modulator rather than an aggressive stimulant. And I say this because it supports a balanced immune system rather than overactivating it. And it's important for people who may have autoimmune issues. Of course, if you have an autoimmune disorder, you do not want an immune stimulant. You don't want to activate something that's already quite active. So, of course, it's always important to start slow, avoid overuse, and then work with your provider, because even something gentle like castor oil can put strain on the body, but it is something that people with autoimmune disorders can incorporate into their wellness journey. It promotes liver detoxification. It's going to help aid the liver in filtering toxins from the blood. It's going to break up any stagnation. It's going to increase circulation in that area. Next is that it supports bowel regularity. So this is even when applied topically. Put it on the night before and then sleep with it. The ricinoleic acid interacts with receptors on the smooth muscle cells of the intestines, triggering contractions, aka peristalsis, that moves waste out of the body. It's going to help reduce systemic inflammation by inhibiting pro-inflammatory cytokines, which help reduce inflammation in tissues and organs throughout the body. It helps to encourage parasympathetic activation. So this parasympathetic state, also known as our rest and digest, happens because castor oil relaxes the muscles, it soothes the underlying tissue, and sends signals to the body that it is safe to relax. It also helps to promote wound healing because it keeps the area hydrated and reduces bacterial growth. So I love this for cuts, scrapes. It's good for burns, but you do not want to apply it to a burn that still has heat radiating from it because it's going to trap that heat because it's so thick, so occlusive. So you want to wait until a burn is not radiating heat, and then you can apply it after that. It also helps to enhance scalp and hair health by promoting hair growth. It's helpful for reducing dandruff, helpful for a dry, itchy scalp. And again, super thick and viscous, so it can be mixed with other oils like argan oil for the scalp, or you can apply it directly to the scalp without mixing it. So I do like to do this. I never put a plastic shower cap on, again, because it's very drying, but I'll just put it in my hair like on a day when I'm not going anywhere and let it hang out for a couple of hours. And it usually takes like 2 or 3 shampoos to get it fully out of my hair, so do be aware of that. But it's going to help by increasing blood flow on the scalp. It's going to be moisturizing the scalp. So for these reasons, it's very famous for its ability to help hair grow. Because of that, it's also very nourishing to eyelashes and eyebrows. It protects the follicle from breakage and brittleness. It eases muscle and joint pain. So it can help to relieve tension and soreness and stiffness because of that anti-inflammatory effect of the ricinoleic acid. It will also help to reduce swelling in the joints and muscles while improving circulation to enhance recovery. And then finally, it's super supportive for respiratory health. So it helps to alleviate chest congestion and respiratory dysfunction when massaged onto the chest. Because of its warming properties, it can increase circulation to the lungs and help to loosen up stuck, sticky mucus that's in there as well. So those are the list of benefits that I love the most about castor oil. I think this is just a really beautiful tool in the toolkit to have. It's something that I rely on quite often, and I'm so excited to have it as part of my life and really excited to learn a little bit more of its history and its lore, and I just think it's a really special plant, so I hope that you feel that way as well. If you know somebody else who wants to know more about castor oil or who you think this could help, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with them. It helps the show to grow, which I greatly appreciate. I will be back next week, and until then, be well. You've been listening to the Skin Earth Vitality Podcast. If you like what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you to find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels at Stratum Aesthetics.